Hello, this is Virtualis the Chess Noob, learning and having fun with chess. So what is the Vienna Game Main Line? Well, it starts with the Vienna Gambit. So e4, e5, knight c3, knight f6, and then f4. So the Vienna Gambit. Now, the Vienna main, the main line starts when the opponent declines the gambit with the only good move in this position, which is d5. So the knowledgeable player with the black pieces will know that this is the only good move, and they actually maintain some advantage. In fact, the only way they can maintain some advantage. This also gives them some good fighting chances. So it's something that the Vienna Gambit player should know about. Now, you don't see this too often, only about 1 in 10 Vienna Gambit games. However, things can go rapidly pear-shaped for the player in white if you're not careful. Now, the best move here for white, pretty much I would say that the only really good move is to capture, because this is immediately places pressure on that knight. It sort of takes away some of the tension in the center. The opponent with black now is again forced with only one good move, which is to capture the pawn. And the thing to note here for white is that this diagonal is now open. And the important thing here is that queen h4 with check is possible, and potentially a big problem because, you know, the knight also defends that square. The knight places pressure on that knight. That in itself is not a huge problem. From this position, there are 3 good moves, and only 3 good moves. Every other move is kind of bad. Again, not too hard to remember. Now, the classic, I suppose the traditional main line would be knight to f3, developing the other piece. The knight defends the h4 square, which basically disallows the queen from providing check, and basically chess continues from this point. So this is a safe, solid position, and this is a position that I've traditionally played. So that's option 1. Option 2, option 2 and 3 actually, both try to, in fact, bait the opponent to play queen h4 with check. So potentially risky moves, especially if you stuff it up. So the first is the modern variation, d3, immediately attacking the knight. So this forces the opponent to do something with the knight, and potentially what they might do if they aren't baited to play the queen is to capture the knight captures knight, you capture back, and chess continues. However, now let's put on sort of the lines and sort of the feedback here. If they play queen h4 with check, the one important thing that you need to know as white is to not play e2, because you will instantly lose with mate. So that would be a terrible mistake. So don't do that. Now, the correct move here is to play g3, attacking. And you think, that almost doesn't look possible, right? Because surely captures, queen captures rook. That's what you would think, right? However, what happens is, if they capture, and you look at the sort of the evaluation here, you'll notice that white is ahead as long as you play the correct move. You know, very risky though. You know, you stuff it up. Black is very substantially ahead, but knight to f3, attacking the queen, and here pretty much all lines favor white. So basically, if the queen moves to any square other than h5, it's very, very good for white. Now, let's say they do move there, because I suppose it's not a terribly difficult move to find. The rook is potentially hanging, but you've got a potential counterattack through that line as well. So here, and basically chess continues with white being a little bit ahead, but a very aggressive, dynamic line of play. So that is the modern variation with d3. Now, the last potentially good line is the Paulson attack, which is queen to f3, the Paulson attack. And again here, if the opponent captures knight, well, chess just continues. But if they play queen h4 with check, again, potentially a very, very bad for black, because here you can straight up block the check by g3, attacking the queen. I see, great move, and they're in some trouble because if they capture, now you can straight up capture the knight back. The queen is under attack, and that rook is no longer hanging as it is defended by the queen. And as you can see, for the black player who thought that queen h4 with check was a winning move, they are now in some serious, serious trouble. So this is potentially quite a fun line. Now, in the actual game, I played knight f3, which is traditionally what I've done. Prior to this review, I didn't do a lot of study of the Vienna Game Main Line. Let's have a quick look at the review. So in this game, I didn't play that great. You will see, 3 blunders on my side, but also some, maybe that's balanced by 3 great moves. So up and down for a little bit, but eventually after a wild back game, I managed to come out ahead. Let's continue on with the analysis. So in this position, my opponent decided to bring out their bishop. And here I have to admit, I wasn't really sure what to do. So as mentioned before, hadn't done that much study in the Vienna Game Main Line and don't have that much experience with it. And here the best move is apparently queen to e2, or potentially pawn to d3, attacking the knight. However, I chose to play h3. And one of the reasons why this is bad is that basically the opponent can just straight up take the knight, and then the queen h4 with check suddenly becomes a problem again. However, they didn't do that. They sort of took their sort of bishop back to h5, and apparently here the best move was actually to directly to attack the bishop again. I wasn't so sure about that, and so I decided to play just d4 and go, immediately another mistake, but sort of locking in the center. Luckily for me, I wasn't punished for it. They play c5, again pushing, trying to create tension in the center again. And I played bishop b5 with check, with the opponent weakening sort of their light squares here. So really, really interesting game here. They block with a knight move, knight d7, which is fine because that's now pinned to the king and also potentially blocking their queen here, and allowed me to capture that pawn with knight. And here they played queen a5 with check. And I was thinking, oh no, I've stuffed things up because that looks like a fork, doesn't it? And I thought, how can I protect both? And eventually I decided to defend by playing knight back to c3. However, this was a blunder. Why was it a blunder? Because basically the opponent can't actually take that bishop. If they took that bishop, then knight to c7, which is of course the whole reason to put the knight on d5 in the first place. Now, well, it's actually a triple royal family fork, and I win the queen. So in the best possible world, what might this have looked like? Let's say I played bishop to d2, counter-attacking the queen, and the opponent goes, ha, I capture your bishop, then I win back the queen. So that would have been possible. However, I didn't see that in the game, so I thought, oh dear, I have to bring that back. Of course, that doesn't work because the knight just captures my knight. And here I thought I better not lose another piece, so let's just whack that knight there. Yep, let's just whack the knight there, forcing the king to come out, bringing it into the center of the board, and also removing its ability to castle. So I thought that was potentially okay. And here was another thing that I chose to do. So I saw that I could potentially just straight up do that, but I was concerned that then queen would then come with a fork. So I didn't want that to happen. So I thought, I'm going to do this. It'll be a discovered check, and I am asking my opponent, are they going to capture my queen, or do they think I've got some master plan? So this is a straight up Botez Gambit, discovered check, asking what are you going to do? Are you going to take? And they blinked. They didn't call my bluff, and they moved their king out, and you will see from -12 to +6. So that was a huge gamble, because if they just took, I think I probably would have lost the game. Now, why is this so winning for me? Well, the reason is now that comes with check, and I've got a discovered attack on that bishop. Yeah, firstly, releasing the knight, and also capturing a piece. Now, that pin was a serious problem for me, not to mention the queen was hanging there as well. So, check, great move. They move their king back that way, and there we go, captured a piece +6. So, they move their knight with a discovered check, but that's fine now. I can just block with a pawn to c3. Move the queen. I'm not sure that was necessarily the best move for them. I now capture another pawn, again with check. King is being chased all over the board. Here, I wasn't entirely sure what was the best move. I thought, yeah, not too sure, not too sure here. But what I was potentially hoping for, yep, back over there. And here I thought, is it possible for me to fork the king and queen with the knight? Well, definitely not with the queen in that position. At the same time, I have to be careful because their knight is scoping out there. So potentially the queen going to that square, going to that square, or that square, or potentially ending up on anything ending up on this square will be forked. Will be forked by their piece. So I just have to be a little bit careful, because otherwise I think I could put the queen there, but no, that would be a serious mistake. So let's get more attackers in. So rook to f1. No, they decide to develop their bishop. That's cool. Now rook to f7, which of course pins the bishop to the king. They have to sort of defend. They have to defend with that rook, but of course that now binds their rook to that position as well. Now I move the queen over. Again, potential. There's a not that move, but potentially getting ready for this move. They saw it, however. They moved their queen out of the way, which makes a lot of sense. I bring the bishop to f4 again to bring another attacker into the piece. And again, here there's the potential for a discovered check. And even better, queen would be lost. They saw that, however, so they moved the king out of the way. I now, long castles, moving my king out of some danger. Bishop c5, which I suppose is fine. Move my bishop out of the way, counter-attacking, attacking the queen. They move the queen. However, I'm happy to try to trade pieces. Whack that bishop. They capture back. That's cool. Now with check, now all the pieces, so both rooks and the queen are sort of out hunting the king. So it was already a mate in 9. I didn't see a mate in 9, but I thought that I could probably get a checkmate somehow. King forced to move. Here I decide to sort of attack. Yep, here that was potential, but I thought the king might just escape. So they sort of moved the queen out of the way, which was probably a mistake. No hunting a pawn. That doesn't really achieve anything. I capture, capture, check, check, and now checkmate. A net in the middle of the board. Good game. GG. One big takeaway from this game. The main line is where the Vienna Gambit player can get into some trouble, so it's worth some study. I hope you found this game interesting, and thanks for watching.